Hello everyone, welcome back to a new Replaycast. Today we're going to be having a look at, in the bottom left spawning as the blue Zerg player, it will be Solar. And in the top right, as the red Terran, it's going to be TPG Cure. So Dragon Phoenix Gaming Cure versus Triumphant Sun Gaming Solar on Zen. We see no proxy hatches, or no proxy barracks. See a hatch first coming out of Solar here against just a standard barracks before gas from Cure. And Zen is one of those maps where the pushing path for Terran isn't quite as easy as on a map like Nightshade. As you can see, the path is a little longer, there's not as many great positions. Zerg can struggle to get creeped down these kind of ramps. It's always difficult if there's a ramp and you can't get creeped down or up on it. That area can kind of become a soft contain with either tanks or just with marines and mines. So always got to be careful of that kind of stuff. We see an SCV scout coming out here for Cure. He wants to play it safe, even though Solar I don't think is too known for doing any kind of early game cheese. Might throw in a pool first every now and then, whether that be to try and do some damage or just for safety in case of 2 racks or 3 racks proxy. That is unknown, but I do know that Solar does play that sometimes, and if I know, then Cure definitely knows. We see Reaper into Marine. Command center is being constructed here for Cure, who I mean, we'll send out the Reaper, try to do some damage with that. Probably won't be able to get much done. Also going to be useful for scouting, of course. Make sure that there's a third base, no funky stuff going on. As here joins the Reaper with the drone. Mine hits the drone, but I think with sufficient control, Solar should not really lose more than 1 ling here. Oh, 1 ling goes down. Second ling getting low as well, and I feel like if Cure dives a little deep, he might be able to get 3 more lings. They're all really low, but so's the Reaper, so now Cure decides, alright, I don't think I can do very much here anymore. Checks the third base. Solar gets the creep tumor in the location he wants to, because this Reaper is too low to truly contest that. So nice little start there for Solar. This Overlord gets spotted. What did he find out? Nothing. So no scout whatsoever here for Solar. There's no second Overlord. He's gonna need to find an alternative way in. Not sure if you can actually do that though. We see Tech Lab is on the way here for that starport. Now this could be for a Banshee. Technically could still be a fusion core as well, of course. And we're definitely gonna see the swap with the barracks and the starport, so it's going to be some kind of air unit from the tech. I would not be surprised if this was a Banshee. No fusion core on the way yet, so we'll have to be a Banshee. Cloak being researched as well. As the first Banshee and the first 2 Hellions just decide to go into the natural. 2 queens, couple of links in position. We'll be able to get 2 drones, but that's definitely not worth your first 2 cars. We see a lot of drones immediately being produced. Usually around this time you see Zerg actually adding about 6 or 7 links, but right now Solar is like, alright, that's completely fine, my friend. That's not gonna be necessary. I'm not sure where those 2 extra drones died from. Was it a Reaper, or did I just miss those 2 getting shot? Solar had a very healthy drone count right now. Very happy with those first 2 Hellion kills, I can only imagine. Already doing some good damage on these cars as well, so wondering to see how many Hellions Cure is gonna end up making. I feel like this was a fake. He cancelled them and then he started them again once he realized the Overlord was gonna scout. Now he is gonna finish them up. Not sure what that was a reaction to. The Hellions trying to do some damage. Going very deep once again. I'm not a massive fan of this. I mean, these queens might be able to block here. They will be able to block here, and just like that, I feel like these Hellions might just die again. Good micro with these links by Solar. Tries really hard not to lose them. Boom. Just like that. What have we lost so far? 6 Hellions against 5 drones and 5 links. So the problem isn't necessarily that the eco right now for Cure is gonna suck. The problem is that, first of all, the creep threat is gonna go completely uncontested, barring the Banshees. The eco can just go as hard as they can. Fourth base is going to be taken without any issue. Solar can basically just play however he wants right now, not having to worry about anything else. Like, there's not going to be any kind of push in the next minute and a half. Usually this kind of, like, the next push is around like 6:30, 6:45. It's a little bit later. I think it was 8 Hellions after all. Yeah, I was right. 8 Hellion, 2 Banshees. So I think 6:40, 6:45 is a very reasonable time to push out being Terran. And Solar can just be like, alright, what I do right now is I get the maximum amount of drones and the minimum amount of units. Just know that I need to be ready by this timing. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's getting a crap ton of drones. He has a lot of queens. Queens were not completely in position, but he's trying to get into position right now. Secure moving into this third base. Might be able to get a drone or two. A little bit slow response there by Solar for those Banshees. Now Spire's about to finish up, which will be the end of these Banshees as well. We see Cure's first 2 medevacs are out, Stimpak completing. And here we go with the move out, leaving not a single Hellion at home. So this one Ling actually is going to be annoying to deal with. Just wasted this boost. This is going to delay this initial push out as well. 68 workers right now for Solar against the 56 of his opponent. There's no fourth base, which confuses me. Huh. The thing is here that once you're fully saturated on 3 bases, you kind of want your fourth to finish so that the moment you add extra drones, you can actually saturate that base. The issue that I have here is that even if he can find space to build drones at this point, he won't really be able to use them. Because you're just going to be oversaturating one of your bases. We have the 2 Evo chambers, Carapace upgrade, as well as the +1 should start soon. This might... Here, these 9 drones that are being built right now are not completely useless, but would be way more useful if there was a fourth base already at this point. Muta's trying to get some damage done. The greatest thing about getting these fast Mutas usually is that you can push back the first double medevac drop of the Terran and hopefully do a counter attack with that. And I think that was kind of the plan here of Solar, and I don't think that really worked out. It's going to lose 1 tumor to this single Marine. It's a ballsy guy, man. What the hell? The edge of the creep. No fear. Oh, tough luck. Combat shield gonna fall. That's actually kind of a big deal, because that means that any kind of push that Cure is gonna do now is gonna be a lot weaker. He still has the 1-1, but I mean, after 1 stim, like these Marines are real low already, and gotta be real careful with Banelings as well. Couple of queens moving forward. We'll try to tank a couple of tank shots. Wow, fourth base is falling. Solar not really caring. I feel like he should have just been able to clear this. Maybe a little bit afraid of that 1-1 upgrade. Mutas were not back home yet. How many Banelings do we have right now? We have a decent Baneling count at least. It's really important that Solar managed to clean this up in an effective fight, because losing that fourth base is painful. He's down in upgrades as well, so big surround coming in, or from 2 sides at least. Tank being focused down by the Mutalisk. This is a good fight. No, this is also a very good fight actually. There's really no negative tone there. Medevac gets cleaned up as well. These Mutas will go looking for that top Medevac. And Solar's building towards a little bit of a supply lead. Problem being, of course, that his eco lead is practically getting wasted at this point. I mean, 81 worker for Solar without a fourth, without a fifth. Playing against the Terran, who is on 69 workers, but is outmining him by about 1200 minerals a minute. Oh, the joys of having mules on your side. We see a 4th CC on the way, second factory. Second factory? Yes, second factory. So we see Thor's on the way and Drilling Claw. So this factory will be a reactor for mass mine production. Very, very common, of course, against Lingbane Muta to have that mine Thor production. So we have Combat Shield being halfway done once again. Same tech lab location. Hopefully this time it will manage to stay alive. The 2 is about to be done as well. Not sure what these links are doing on this side of the map, but perhaps just spotting for any potential drop move outs. There's an overlord of Solar moving towards the 4th base location, making sure nothing weird is happening there. This base is finally mining. Solar's finally getting that income that he deserves with the drone count that he has. Hive is on the way, so very fast Hive tag here for Solar. Usually when people play Muta, you don't see it as fast, especially with these big Muta counts. 16 plus 2 Mutalisk attack or flyer attacks. We have a big Marine force on the map actually. I'm surprised how big this force is. Usually you see Terrans have slightly smaller force, I guess against the Muta count this big. That's not quite what you want. Overlord trying to delay this base a bit by pooping creep on the minerals. Not quite sure how that works, but turrets being constructed right now. Where are his Mutalisk? They're still idling. And Kira is ready with a defense squad, making sure that the Mutas can't do too much damage. Very curious game so far. Where not a lot has happened honestly for a TVZ. This is a relatively calm game. We've seen the one move out, but ever since then it's just been Mutas trying to find an angle and Cure just being too afraid to move out. We have very poor micro here by Cure, who loses a lot of Marines immediately. There's no mines with this push so far, I believe. Well, a single one. There's 3 tanks a single. I don't think this is enough splash, right, to deal with this. I mean, off creep he can fight just fine, but on creep it's gonna be rough. He does have a massive upgrade lead. Tutu is about to finish up though for Cure, as he's running up here with a bunch of Marines, making sure there's no base there. There's not. Reinforcements streaming across the map. Here comes Solar. Tutu just finished up, rolling forward with a lot of the Banelings. First tank does go down, second tank not being targeted yet. A lot of damage being dealt by these tanks and these Marines, but Solar once again with the cleanup. Like I said, I don't think there was quite enough splash in this army here for Cure. Was mainly relying on Marines, but if there is nothing to kill the massive Baneling count, it's gonna be kinda hard. Solar decides to actually counter-attack with this. Don't think that should be possible. Might go for a bunch of these SCVs actually with the Banes. No, just kills the sensor tower and decides to retreat. A lot of creep spread has been denied. Where are the queens for Solar here? I don't quite see them. How many queens is there in total? There's 5 queens total. We're gonna need a couple of tumors over here on the edge. There we go. Good stuff indeed. A couple of tumors will end up going down there. Marauders being added in the mix, as well as more mines. I feel like I've seen Drilling Claws being researched before. Must have been cancelled. So, very important upgrades of course for those mines. Mutalisk sweeping in, trying to get Drilling Claws. Or maybe, yeah, once again we'll get cancelled actually. So these Mutas doing some good work on the upgrades. Second time they got Drilling Claws. They got Combat Shield once as well. It's not the greatest of trades there, but these are doing some damage, I guess. Lost 4 or 5 Mutas there actually. I think 4 Mutas went down to about 6 Marines. And this shot of a single Thor, big drop here at the top side of the map. We'll be able to at least deny the mining on this base. We might even be able to clear this base, honestly. If Curious decides to focus it, pick up and fly away. I don't think he should keep flying towards his opponent with that matter of fact, but he does decide to do so. There's a lot of mines on the map now, a lot more splash than before. We have 8 mines, we have a Thor. We have a big Marauder count, so Banelings are going to be less useful. Ultralisks are on the way as well, so Marauder's going to be real nice against it as well. Adrenal Glands just finished up, but no 3-3 yet here for Solar, who's gonna go in. Banelings connecting with a lot of the Marauders, which is not quite what you want. DPS of Cure still looking kinda solid here, honestly, and it seems like that Solar is just barely not able to break, and a lot of the mine shots will start recharging, and it's very important for Solar that he pushes this back before these mine shots come back. Ultralisk definitely helping out here. And all of these mines will end up getting pushed. Like, that's such a big deal, because if these mines end up shooting twice, they're gonna be a little bit too cost efficient. Even now we already see Cure pulling ahead in income. There's no 5th base yet. Oh, there is. It's floating to a location that is currently taken by creep. 6th base on the top is being re-established here for Solar, who's pushing this back. Marauder count is a lot lower, there's no mines, and Cure can't really fight this without mines or Marauders. Also just a little too much damage for that. So Cure will be able to stabilize once again at his planetary 4th base, but he's going to need to rebuild the mine count. He's getting Drilling Claws once again. Marauder count is being increased as well, 4 Marauders being produced at a time. Some good creep denial on both sides at the same time. Problem being here for Cure is that this base is going to remain very vulnerable for a long time, because there's still basically a creep highway towards that base, which makes it kind of dangerous. Now, once this turns into a planetary, that kind of changes, because then it changes from a liability into a massive asset, where it's like, hey, like I have a save point on the map once again. All those planetaries are always save points on the map, and then all of a sudden perhaps Cure can start pushing from this side as well, while keeping drop pressure on this side. So the main rally might be going over here right now. Yeah, we're already seeing it. He wants to establish this base as his 5th with that planetary. And ooh, that is kind of spicy. And this is a move that I don't think Solar will kind of expect. As I say that, he sends out a link there, so Solar doesn't expect it, but just with the habits that he has is good enough for it. Good surround here on a big part of the army. Solar actually getting a very nice start at the start of this engagement. 2 mines hitting absolutely nothing. How many more mines is there? There's 2 more in the back. These 2 mines did some damage. I'm not a fan of not clearing mines. Always try to have overseers with your army and try to finish off these mines. Because the bigger the mine count grows, the harder of a time you're going to have attacking into your opponent. As we see Cure now moving out, looking for some damage. This bottom side is also just making sure that nothing goes wrong here with that orbital command. I feel like it's a little bit risky though, as we have another big engagement here at the top. Planetary helping out a bunch and creep slowly but surely getting pushed back. And this is kind of what I was talking about. You have this point of safety with that planetary, where it's like the Zerg can't really go in there unless they have an absolutely insane amount of banelings. We're talking about 50-60 banelings. That's not what Solar has at the moment. So Solar is going to be very careful. Going to be a little bit afraid of that planetary. Mines moving forward, no good hits being used there. Planetary once again with that backup. Solar decided it's time to push in. Corruptor's killing a lot of the medevacs actually. What do we have more here? Where's the production line? Where's the reinforcement line here for Cure? It's going to be a little bit too late. If this base falls, it's going to be a very big deal. This is going to be a very big deal as this base does end up falling. Just as Solar basically runs out of units, and the final 2 links are still alive. Orbital command being sent here right now. Once again, Corruptors coming in. The medevac count is still relatively healthy here for Cure, but all of these medevacs are on the bottom of the map, and the bottom of the map right now for Cure is really not all that interesting. I mean, there's really nothing happening here for Cure. I'm like, oh, I feel like he could do something here. Like, the main point was to establish this forward base as a planetary. Because now he has 2 extremely vulnerable bases at opposite ends. You see, this army is definitely not going to be able to keep this base against a sufficient army count that Cure is sending over right now. Corruptors putting in a lot of work. Medevacs being sniped. Parasitic Bomb being used. Will be able to take out at least 1 more medevac. And all of these SCVs are going to die. The top base is still so vulnerable. So even though for now it's going to be safe, this is definitely a point of contention later on in the game. Command center ends up falling. 12 workers have gone down. We have Solar happily producing more and more Ultralisks, creating even a little bit of a bank for himself at this point. And this feels for Cure like the final hooray push. It's the push before he seems to be tapping out. Even though he still has a good supply, his economical situation is so extremely bad at this point. Good mine burrows here for Cure, but so I was like, that seems nice, but I have so many Corruptors, I have so many Banelings, and I have a bunch of Ultras here. Banelings absolutely ravaging everything that Cure has left, and GG gets called as Cure taps out of this game. Really the center point of that late game was this planetary that ended up falling in a way where I felt like it wasn't quite necessary. Just the army balance between the bottom and the top side for Cure wasn't quite what it should be, and yeah, he had to pay the price for that, it seemed like. So it's going to be it for today. Thank you all very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment down below. If there's any kind of series that you would like to see me cast/analyze, be sure to leave it in the comments as well, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.